This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are talking about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax. Let's start this podcast. So I know that we deal with unsolved murders and stuff like that, but sometimes I see a case that I go by and I see that the police say, oh, this is an accident. But you can really tell that this case wasn't an accident, that this was a murder.
Oh, okay. We're diving into murders now.
Yeah, our first murder. Oh, hold on, I'll say it like that. Wait, let me not say it like that. But our first murder case. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, because those missing cases keep stressing me out.
Oh, this one probably stress you out a little bit more.
Well, at least I know what happened. I get some kind of closure.
That they died?
Well, what happened?
Oh, they've been found, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's unsolved, so we don't know who did it, really.
Oh, well then, shoot, never mind.
This case right here has the public half and half. Something is an accident, something it was a murder. I want to see what you say it is.
Okay.
And also our fans. Don't forget about them. Murder or accident? The Jaleyah Davis story. Jaleyah Rose Davis was born on November the 2nd, 1991 in Colorado Springs in Colorado to her mother, Kimberly Davis. 18 months after Jaleyah was born, her mother gave birth to a second daughter, Tabby. Her family said that Jaleyah was a sweetheart. Jaleyah was very soft-spoken, but she made friends very easily. Her family said that Jaleyah didn't have any enemies. The three Davis girls was Kim, Jaleyah, and Tabby, who were very, very close. Jaleyah graduated high school in 2009. She also worked at the local Hollister store with her sister Tabby, while she was still trying to figure out what's her next step in life. At this store, she was the age of 20 years old.
Okay.
On Friday, November the 18th, 2011, Jaleyah left her home in Marietta between 3 and 4 p.m. to meet her friend Kristen. Jaleyah drove to Kristen's house so they could get ready for a party and go out that night. After getting dressed and doing their makeup, they headed to their friend Brian's house. But let me say this. Brian was mostly Kristen's friend, not Jaleyah. They arrived at the party around 9:30 or 10 o'clock. So it was mostly guys at this party. It was barely any girls there. So they decided that they want to get more alcohol. So they left along with two more guys, Freddie and Jordan.
What kind of party was this?
Like a house party.
Oh.
So Brian probably called everybody in his call log and contacts, hey, I'm having a party.
And then these are college kids or college age kids?
Yeah. So Jordan, Freddie, Kristen, and Jaleyah, they all went to go to get some liquor at the store. But Kristen was like, hey, I want to get my friend Katie. So they picked her up too, and they all headed back to the party.
Okay. After they got the liquor?
Mm-hmm. So I feel like the party wasn't as lit, so they left and went to a bar called Nip and Q, where they did some shots and had a little fun and danced. They arrived at the bar around 12-something. After they got some shots, turned up a little bit, they left the bar around 3:10 to head back to Brian's house. But let me make something clear. They didn't drive in Jaleyah's car. The car that they all rode in was Freddie. They didn't take Jaleyah's car. Jaleyah's car stayed at Brian's house.
Okay.
They went back to Brian's house around 3:10, but he wasn't there. He left his own party to go to a bar. Yeah, so he was his party was lame anyway, so he left too.
I was about to ask, did Brian go with them? But Brian eventually left too.
Yeah, Brian went to another bar.
That's sad.
Yeah, so they went back. They saw Brian wasn't there. They're like, oh, what's the next thing to do? But Kristen and Jaleyah had a little fight because Jaleyah couldn't find her keys and her bracelet. So she accused Kristen of stealing it.
Oh.
But they finally found it and everything was solved. So after that little fight, everybody was like, okay, we're just going to go home.
Yeah,
but
everybody needs to chill.
Right. But Jaleyah didn't want to go home with them no more because, she's supposed to stay at Kristen's house. But she's like, you know what? I'm calling my sister. So she called her sister at 3:28 a.m. Tabby received a phone call from her sister saying, hey, can you come pick me up at the gas station? Tabby was with her friend and said, hey, yeah, we come to pick you up. Tabby could hear her sisters telling Kristen, give me my keys back. But she couldn't hear what Kristen was saying in the background. At 3:30 a.m., Jaleyah called Tabby again, sounding very angry and upset. She asked her sister, can you come pick me up at a different location by the rest stop along the highway? It was closer to their home. Tabby asked her sister, what's wrong? Jaleyah couldn't tell her what's wrong. She said, hey, I'm going to tell you when you get here. She was calling Kristen names, saying she was a bad friend, and was going off and crying and cussing. She said, Kristen, she's a bad friend. Bad friend. But she still wouldn't tell her sister what happened. She asked her sister, can you please hurry up? She said, okay, I'm 10 minutes away. I'm almost there. As Tabby and her friend headed down I-77, they came around a corner to see several cops blocking the road. They pulled over and asked the officer what was going on. They said that they found a woman body on the highway. They would only tell her it was an African-American woman wearing a peacoat, a white peacoat to be exact. Tabby knew that it was her sister. She called her mother and arrested her family, who all quickly arrived at the scene near mile maker 181. The police confirmed to the family that the body they found was Jaleyah.
Damn.
She was decapitated and pieces of her body were scattered across the highway lane.
They ran her over, or they chopped off her limbs and decapitated her?
Everybody has a theory. The vehicle was nearby in small mounts under a white sheet nearby the police was Jaleyah remains. They were in shock. Tabby couldn't believe what just happened because she just spoke to her sister on the phone. She wondered what happened in those 10 minutes before I got here.
How long did it take the sister to get there?
So after they hung up, it took, she called her sister at 3:33 a.m. The person who found her body called the police at 3:48 a.m.
Dang.
So it wasn't like a big different times, you see? So like whatever happened very quickly.
And that's probably why she didn't want to tell her sister what was going on, because she was probably being followed or somebody was listening in on her. She just wanted to get away, but they eventually got her.
Yeah, like quick.
Yeah, that was pretty quick. And to decapitate somebody, that takes some force. If you run over somebody, I don't think that they would really get decapitated. I feel like it's like you decapitate somebody with a tough object like an axe or something that's meant for like chopping or cutting.
Because we don't know how long she was on the phone with her. So say like 2 minutes at the most, right? Well, she was fussing and arguing. So she was on the phone with her sister for a minute, okay? So say like she ended the call like say 3:38. And the person who called the police, who I'm going to read soon, they called at 3:48 to say like how we found this body.
What were the guys?
So I'm going to get to that part too in soon. So I'm going to skip some because this story right here is kind of like the family and Christian putting together, but you're going to hear like each person thought of what happened. As the Davis family tried to process what just happened, more detail emerged about Jaleyah and the accident. A truck driver had been the initial caller from the scene. His call came to dispatch around 3:48 a.m. He told dispatcher that he saw what he believed was a dead human body on the road. He stayed on the scene waiting for police. Other passengers stopped and helped him stop the traffic. The sheriff department arrived very soon and blocked the traffic completely. Jaleyah's four-door sedan was found about a quarter of a mile from her body, abandoned with her keys still in ignition and the car still in gear. The doors was locked and the headlights were on.
So this was Jaleyah's car that they had?
So where the accident was, her car was there with her. So like she kind of drove to the rest stop to wait for her sister because she couldn't drive far.
Why?
I don't know. Can't ask.
Yeah, that she's asking for a ride, but she has her own car.
Yeah, that was part of. Yeah. Like when I read that, I'm trying to figure out why too.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, trust me.
Unless somebody took her car.
Oh, trust me, it get worse.
Okay.
There didn't appear to be any other car involved. Jaleyah, in addition to be decapitated, had one of her legs broken halfway and her right breast missing.
Wow.
She was completely nude from the waist up. She was only wearing her underwear and jeans. Her clothes were not near her body. They were stackly knitted on the guardrail. Her bra, her shirt, and her peacoat on top, in that order. The truck driver who called, he said he didn't touch that body or her clothes or her car. I mean, I wouldn't either. That's kind of like, you seen all that? Ooh.
Yeah.
Tabby, she called Kristen several times as they sat on the highway waiting for the rest of her family to arrive. The calls were somehow disconnected. After the family left the scene on the highway and the police cleared out, Jaylene's grandfather returned to take pictures of everything on the road and he took pictures so good. And like I have the pictures gonna be like linked in the description. You can see like how good these pictures was. Like this man was taking them so good. The following day, the sheriff department wanted to question everyone who has been with Jaylene that night. They were unable to locate Kristen. Finally, her father answered the door at her home and he said Kristen didn't feel like talking. Also, she got her lawyer involved. Within 12 hours of Jaylene being found, Kristen has already hired a lawyer.
That's big sus.
She was the only one involved in this case that had a lawyer so fast.
She needed a defense.
The Davis family, they was immediately concerned at learning this. They didn't understand why Kristen would obtain a lawyer so fast and why she didn't want to help her friend.
She got something to hide.
Kristen, she finally gave a statement to the sheriff department 3 days later. She told them that Jaylene had been extremely intoxicated, and after they driven back to her car, they made her promise to wait for her sister and not to drive herself home. Kristen said they waited a little while, and then that's when they drove off. And that was the last time that she has ever seen her. So I'm going to tell you each person's statement to the police of what they told the police what happened. Kristen, the friend that Jaylene's supposed to be spending the night with, is also the granddaughter of the former Woody County Sheriff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why the calls got disconnected, maybe.
Kristen account of the night with Jaylene began around 7 p.m. She said that Jaylene came around her house at that time. The two made cookies, showered, and got ready for the night. After they got ready, they headed to Brian's house in Jaylene's car. Kristen said that they got to Brian's house around 9:30 to 10 p.m. She said it was a few people that she didn't know besides Brian, Freddie, and Jordan. So it's like she only knew like basically 4 people at the party. She estimated that she and Jaylene were at Brian's house about 2 hours. Kristen said that Jaylene, Freddie, Jordan left the house around 11 p.m. I think it was about 10 or maybe 10:15 or 11. She really don't know when they went to pick up her friend Katie. So that was like the time she said that it happened. They picked Katie up at her house. She said that her friend Freddie was driving that night. Before they pick up Katie, they stopped at the North End Market so Freddie could get another bottle of vodka. Later, Chrissy said she didn't know which one they did first. When they got the alcohol or picked up Katie. After this, the group of 5 returned to Brian's house. Both Kristen and Jaylene had been taking shots of liquor together prior to leaving to pick up Katie. After the group returned with Katie, Kristen said that Jaylene continued taking shots. Kristen said that she stopped drinking. Katie wasn't drinking. She was trying to take shots away from Jaylene because she realized she was getting really, really, really drunk. But it was very unsuccessful. Kristen estimated that Jaylene had about 16 shots at Brian's house that night. And she had taken about 14 or 15 shots at her house.
14, 15, she wouldn't even have made the party.
Just remember, like, I'm going to tell y'all something. Jaylene was very small. Very small. She weighed 125 pounds. If she took that many shots, she would have been like gone. I couldn't even walk. I'm not a drinker at all. I drink wine, but I don't drink that much. So like taking that many shots, I'm probably done about 3 or 4.
That's what I'm saying. If she would have taken how many? 14, 15? She would have been out of there.
Then 16 at Brian house.
Yeah, no.
She wouldn't be able to stand up.
Yeah, that's a lie.
It don't even depend on the alcohol. Taking that many shots.
Yeah, no.
And then if you see that your friend is getting that drunk, you should just end the night right there and right there, like on my friend. Because she wouldn't be able to walk. Y'all probably have to drag her butt along.
But she was talking to her sister just fine. I mean, it looked like she was sane.
Because she stopped talking to her mother and her sister around 9 p.m. That's when she stopped texting them. So when she got to Brian house. So her mama also texted her, be safe, don't make me worry.
Yeah.
But she's 20 years old. She shouldn't be drinking. Okay? Get to the age limit. And second, I'm sorry. She had to be drunk. Like, she probably couldn't even stand up.
But she called the sister. And the sister didn't say anything about her slurring her words or not making any sense. She was clear-minded. Like, she was like, oh, well, I can't tell you right now, but I'll tell you later. Just please come pick me up. Like, she knew her whereabouts. She knew the time frame. She didn't slur her words, or at least we don't think she did. Her sister, well, we haven't heard anything that
But her sister
proves
understood her.
otherwise.
She understood her.
That proves otherwise, yeah.
Kristen said at some point, she, Katie, Jaylene, and Freddie decided to leave Brian's house and go to the bar. They took Freddie's car and left Jaylene's car at Brian's house.
Oh, okay.
She estimated the ride time was between 12 or 1 a.m. When they arrived, she said her and the girls just hanged out inside. Katie's ex-boyfriend Chris was there. Katie still talked to him and was realizing that Jaylene was super drunk and she was dancing and flirting all on Katie's boyfriend. They was really close and Katie was getting very mad at the whole thing. I was trying to take Jaylene wristlet while she was there because I was afraid she was going to lose it. You remember in the beginning, they got the argument over the bracelet/wristlet.
Yeah, but that's not for her to take.
And that's the crazy thing. Why would you take her wristlet? Like, it's on her wrist. Or bracelet, you call it bracelet, wristlet. It was on her wrist.
Yeah,
How was she going to lose it?
Yeah, it makes no sense. If she wants to lose it, then that's on her. Hey, you got drunk off your behind and you lost the bracelet. Like, that's your problem, not mine. I'm not going to get into it. I guess I've dealt with a lot of drunk people that I know sometimes pick your battles.
Right. But it's like, why would you try to get it, though? That's the point I don't get.
Right. I don't
Out of everything, you try to get the wristlet. Not the phone, not nothing important that, like,
her purse.
Right. That's the craziest thing, because I'm like, if my friend getting drunk, I'm going to go for the phone first. I'm like, oh, she's going to lose his phone, and she's going to be mad that she lost her phone, and she's going to be whining the next morning. Let me get that. I think...
It depends. Like, is she just leaving it everywhere? Like, if she leaves it behind, I'll be like, okay, let me pick it up, and let me just take care of it, right? But I'm not just going to be like, give me your phone, give me your keys, give me your wristlet.
It was just weird that she went for the wristlet. I don't know. I don't like saying wristlet, guys. I'm going to say bracelet. Just want y'all to know. I don't know. I don't like the name wristlet. But just weird that you go for that, though. Out of everything, you go for the wristlet. Because it's hard. Like, okay, you shake it. Like, it's hard to get. It depends on how tight she has it.
It makes no sense.
Right. So she kept trying to get it, but she said she couldn't receive it because Jaylene kept pushing her off. Like, no, like, leave me alone, basically. So Katie, she didn't confront Jaylene about everything. That's what Kristen said. She she was mad, but she didn't want it to ruin the night. Don't believe that. So Kristen said that after they left the bar around 3:10, Freddie was driving. Kristen was in the passenger seat and Jaylene and Kathy were in the back. Kristen said that they drove back to Brian's house but didn't go inside. We were sitting there in the car trying to figure out what we were going to do next. If we were going to go inside or we was going to go home. But you remember, Brian was gone.
Right.
I don't know if the party was still going on, but I feel like if the house wasn't gone, the party over with.
Right.
That's crazy they sit there. We were sitting in the car trying to figure out what we were going to do next. If we was going to go inside or we were going to go home. Jaylene was trying to talk to indicate that she was on the phone, and I think she was trying to go hang out with him or whoever he was. So she don't say like who Jaylene was on the phone with. She like, oh, Jaylene was on the phone with, saying that she was going to go hang out with somebody. but she also couldn't find her wristlet. Kristen said that Jaleyah was angry about not being able to find her wristlet, that she was blaming Kristen and said, "Hey, did you steal my wristlet?"
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can kind of assume why she thought she took her wristlet, because she kept trying to take it.
She kept trying to take it, yeah.
She said they all decided that they was going to go home. We thought that Jaleyah was going to come home with us, but she ended up calling her sister and asking her sister to come pick her up. She said she needed a ride. When officer asked Kristen if she overheard where Tabby was going to get Jaleyah, Kristen said, "I don't think so." She went to get out the car and she said, "Tabby, I need you to come pick me up. I will explain what is going on when you get here." Remember that this is what Tabby said that Jaleyah told her on the last phone call. It's kind of strange that Kristen heard this. Y'all remember, okay?
Right.
Kristen said that she asked Jaleyah multiple times that if she was planning on driving, and she said no, that she was waiting for her sister. Kristen said she wouldn't have left her there if she felt though she wasn't going to drive. Mm-hmm. The group left Jaleyah in front of Brian's house around 3:40 a.m. Kristen said that she called Tabby around 3:50 saying that she couldn't find her sister. Kristen said she told her where Jaleyah was, at Brian's house, and how to get there. Kristen tried to call Jaleyah, but no answer. Freddie took Kristen and Kathy through McDonald's drive-thru and back to Kristen's house. Mm-hmm. So I want everybody to remember these time periods, because the time is very, very important. This is Freddie's side of what happened. Freddie, he's the son of a former police and detective. It's like, so everybody got like power in this group, really.
Right.
Freddie said that he first met Jaleyah on Friday night, that she and Kristen had come to Brian's house. He said that he got into Brian's house around 11 p.m. that night, before Kristen and Jaleyah arrived. He also said that he driven the girls to pick up Kathy, who he knew before that night. Freddie said that in addition to driving the girls to Nip and Cube that night, his friend Jordan was also in that car, and they arrived around midnight. Freddie is very unclear to whether he believed Kristen and Jaleyah were drunk when they arrived at Brian's house. Once at the bar, Freddie said the girls went off to do their own things, and him and Jordan was doing their own thing. He said that he saw Jaleyah arguing with some white male sometime at that night, but he didn't know who he was. Weird. Mm-hmm. Freddie remembered that they left the bar about 5 minutes before closing. He was driving and admitted that he was pretty intoxicated himself. He had Jaleyah, Kristen, and Kathy in the car. From what I understand, Jordan left the bar with another girl. He said that he drove the group to Brian's house, where Jaleyah was the only one that got out of the car. He said that he looked around outside for her wristlet and bracelet. Her wristlet and keys. This part of the statement is so confusing. I don't understand where they were, or was they inside the car or outside the car, because Kristen said that the keys and wristlet was inside the car and they found the inside. It was looking, but then Freddie said they looked outside the car. So it's like two different stories. But he said after that, Jaleyah got in her car. They waited a few minutes. He said he then drove to his apartment, unlocked his door for Jordan, and then he took the girls through the drive-thru at McDonald's before dropping them off at Kristen's house. I feel like none of these stories kind of really go together, really. Mm-hmm. Kathy. So we all remember who Kathy was. So Kathy's statement was very short, like super short. Her story seemed to match a little bit of Kristen and a little bit of Freddie. After being dropped off at Kristen, Kathy said that Kristen and Tabby were talking on the phone, and that Tabby said that Jaleyah has been in an accident. She said Tabby wouldn't tell them what happened, and she kept hanging up on them. Around 4:15 a.m., Kathy said her ride came, which was her ex-boyfriend. Mm-hmm. He was the one at the bar that night. And that she spent the night with him, and when she woke up, she heard Jaleyah had died.
Wow.
So let's talk to the boyfriend. Chris got interviewed too. Everybody get interviewed today.
What about the bartender, or like the bar that they went to?
I didn't find their statements. No. Ooh, look at you. You know a little something about true crime now.
Yep.
So Chris said he had known Jaylene since 9th grade. He no longer lived in that area, but him and Jaylene kept in touch. He was at the bar and he said that they hung out with the 3 girls most of the time he was there. He didn't recall anyone fighting or arguing between the girls. He said Jaylene was pretty drunk and she had on one heel and seemed to be having a hard time walking and stuff. He said that he kind of just stood around with her so she wouldn't feel left out because he didn't think she was feeling good. He said she was falling all over the place. Chris confirmed that he picked up Kathy from Kristen's house between 3:30 or 4 a.m. He said he asked Kathy why Jaylene wasn't there, and he thought that Kathy said something about Jaylene and Kristen get into an argument. He added, I think maybe Kristen was like mad at Jaylene for trying to talk to me. I think Kristen was mad at Jaylene because I'm pretty sure Kathy told me that Kristen was super angry at her and was like, why is she talking to him? And Kathy's right here. Tabby's finna tell her side of the story. Tabby said that the last message that Jaylene responded to was around 9:50 p.m. that night. She said Jaylene called her at 3:20 a.m. on Saturday morning asking her could she come pick her up. Then she called back around 3:30 a.m. to make sure they was on their way. She said during one of the calls, she could hear Jaylene asking Kristen for her keys. So Tabby had the impression that they were either in Kristen's car or at home. She said that Kristen was a bad friend and that she was a bitch. Tabby said that Jaylene said she was on the interstate, but she didn't know if anybody was with her. She also couldn't hear anyone in the background. Phone records show that 3 calls being made from Jaylene to Tabby, 3:28, 3:33, and 3:36. Tabby had all these 3 calls on her phone as well, but only answered 2 of them.
Why?
She said that there was no way she wouldn't have heard the ringer, that it was right beside her. So like she said that she didn't hear it ring, but she's like, I would have heard it ring, you know?
Yeah.
Tabby said she made contact with Kristen at 3:53 a.m. Tabby and her friend had made to Williamstown where they was going to meet Jaylene, but couldn't. The last thing she remembered Kristen saying was something like, well, Jaylene was mad because she didn't hear her what she said. Then Tabby pulled up to the scene where her sister's body was. She said she called Kristen again after seeing what had happened to her on the highway. She said she was panicking and asking Kristen what happened to Jaylene and told her what she thought that she saw. Kristen kept asking, what happened? What happened? Then Tabby said she hung up on her. There were calls at 4:07 and 4:09. Kristen had texted Tabby at 4:49 a.m. and asked what was going on. She texted Tabby again at 10:06 a.m. and asked if she was awake and if everything was okay. She also had several missed calls from Kristen that night. During Tabby's statement, her mother was present. They talked about the interview and several things that they assumed that happened, and Jaylene being in a verbal or physical fight with the girls or both girls. In 2012, a woman named Amber came forward to the police and said that she was a witness of what happened that night of Jaylene's accident. She said that she met Jaylene at the bar earlier that evening and witnessed a conversation between her and 2 black males and a white female in the parking lot of the bar. She said then she saw Davis pull out of the parking lot and the 3 others followed them in another vehicle. Stafford claimed that 2 cars were engaged in a little horseplay on I-77 before the vehicle with the 3 inside forced Davis' vehicle off the road. She then saw Jaylene get out the car and get beat up by the other 2 girls. In June of 2012, Stafford, she agreed to a polygraph test, which she failed. During the question afterwards, she admitted that she lied about everything, and she was sentenced to 6 months in jail and a $500 fine.
Why would she lie?
Why do a lot of people do that?
In March of 2013, the results of Jaleyah's autopsy were released. I'm unsure if they were just released to the public at this time or also to the Davis family at this time as well. They described her cause of death as multiple catastrophic injuries sustained as an unrestrained driver of a car that lost control and struck a guardrail on Interstate 77 Alcohol intoxication was also a factor. Her toxicology results were negative for illicit drugs, but her blood alcohol content was 0.19, more than twice the legal limit for driving. The Wood County Sheriff's Department ruled that Jaleyah's death was an accident. That makes no sense. Sorry, that's just me. This is what the investigators determined happened to Jaleyah that night. While driving unrestrained and heavily intoxicated, Jaleyah, traveling at highway speed, struck the guardrail on the right passenger side, making an initial impact on the front right headlight. She was thrown across her vehicle and ejected from the right front passenger window. This was the only window that had been broken out. At the exact time that her airbag deployed, on her Facebook page, Kim detailed what she was told by the police. Also, at the exact moment her passenger door had shattered, her body then took a slight right at the exact moment she went out of the window of the door, hit two posts, and flipped backwards over her car. Yes, that's right. They want us to believe my daughter is a human boomerang.
Sorry, it's not funny.
Wow. Regarding Jaleyah's clothing, Kim said the shirt was badly damaged as the bra wasn't tore at the straps. It was tore under one armpit. You wear a bra, then you know how thick that strap is and how difficult it would be to rip it in that spot. Not to mention that all of this going on with her clothing still didn't slow her body down. She still, in their eyes, managed to flip backwards over her car. In doing all of this flipping, she also managed to get blood on her license plate, trunk, taillights, going out of her car and over. Wouldn't a 125-pound body have put dents somewhere on that car? On the door or the roof of the car, hood, trunk, anywhere? There was no damage noted to the top of Jaleyah's car, nor was there any blood on top. Police also said that there was no clothing fiber, hair, or blood noted on the glass remnants on the passenger's front window. In addition, there was no significant damage noted to the guardrail where police said the vehicle had hit. That's crazy.
Kim recalled the investigator saying that Jaleyah had gotten distracted, which caused her to strike the guardrail. We were told that they believed that the reason Jaleyah wrecked was because she was looking for something because of the damn light was on. Not true. They forgotten that it was dark when I drove up on the scene. They forgotten that it was dark when Tabby got there. Tabby remembered many things from that night in very great details. I'm sure the police would say that Tabby was very upset that night and things may have clouded her judgment. They don't even know the beginning to say things like that. Tabby is a very calm and very observant young lady. The dumb light wasn't on. Kim was extremely concerned about the fact that the evidence had been left at the scene. The hood of Jaleyah's coat that was covered in blood was still on the scene. A earring that Jaleyah was wearing that night was found 18 feet prior to the first head scrub. Kim said that the detective told her father that they photographed the earring but left it on the scene. Her father also said that the crash investigator on the scene told him not to be surprised if her death was ruled an accident. Also, Jaleyah's favorite keychain was missing. It was jeweled with an encrusted J that Tabby gave her. Tabby said that she never took this keychain off. It was later found that Kristen actually had the keychain. According to the Davis, she gave them several reasons of why she had Jaleyah's keychain.
None good enough.
The people who've been with Jaleyah that night were not very investigated. Their phone were never searched. They said that Kristen, Kathy, and Freddie had all alibis. Between the second and third call from Jaleyah to Tabby, there were videos from the McDonald's 6 miles away. In the driver's seat, the video showed Freddie. There also to be a pair of 2 other people in the car. One was in the front seat and one was in the back seat. And the timestamp said 3:32 a.m. So the police ruled Jaleyah as an accident. They said that she got into a bad car accident and it was kind of her fault because she was drinking and driving. But I want to ask you guys, do you think it was a murder or an accident? So, what are your thoughts?
I think that she was murdered. There's no way that you get decapitated through drinking and driving. She did not want to drive. She called her sister. She kept telling her sister to hurry up. She couldn't really talk because people could hear her conversation. So to me, she was murdered. And because the two friends have police friends or the sheriff or whatever, they're connected somehow, they're being protected.
Right. It's just the clothes to me. If she was like flying through her window, why was her clothes just like placed right there?
Neatly stacked.
To me, I feel like if she was like flew out, her clothes would be like ripped or something very, very damaged. Why was it blood on her trunk? If she went through the front window, it wouldn't be blood on the trunk. I basically think the trunk wouldn't be touched, right?
No.
So it's like, I think that Kathy got jealous that Jaleyah was talking to her ex-boyfriend and Kristen was having her girl's side because Jaleyah and Kristen didn't know each other long, only 2 months. But she knew Kathy longer. So whose side she gonna have? She gonna have Kathy. They probably was calling her out her name, said Jaleyah this, she's a slut, she all this stuff. I think it was a murder. A lot of people say, because it was this podcaster who helped the family out. She did many episodes and she like, oh no, I think it was an accident and the podcaster and the mama fell out. So personally, I think it was a murder. I don't know what happened per se because I'm not very good at like trying to picture it like that. Because like, I thought the pictures was like, I have to see the body, but I don't want to see the body. So it's like, because I know going through the window, like if she hit the railing, she probably skied a little bit, probably went in traffic. You tell me nobody saw that?
But didn't you hear that she said that the rail that she hit wasn't damaged?
So it's like, make it make sense, you know?
Yeah, and that's why the police is just really quick at trying to close this case. They're not really investigating because they know the answers.
Because everybody's story was different. Nobody had the same story, at least. And I think like Chris was telling us kind of hints a little bit what he think that happened. He like, hey, me and her were just hanging out. We was drinking because he said he felt her being alone. So that means Kristen and Kathy was treating her some type of way.
Yeah.
They was being fake friends towards her.
Right.
So for him to say that, I think it tells a lot.
Right.
And Kathy was got jail like, oh, she with my man, blah, blah, blah. You know how women can be sometimes. Then young women, like in their early 20s, come on now. And first of all, what bar they in? You can drink at a bar at 20 years old?
And that's what I'm saying. They didn't interview like the people or the staff from the bar.
Because most bars have video. Definitely in like 2011, yes, they're going to have some videos.
That's what I'm saying. But they didn't dig enough.
They didn't care.
They just wanted to close it and made up this crazy story.
Because nothing added up at all.
Nothing adds up.
I mean,
I just don't. Me personally, I guess I'm pretty sane. But if you are talking to my partner, at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to decapitate anyone for that. If you want to have them, they want to be with you, shoot, that they weren't for me. I'll go find somebody who was meant for me. It's not worth it.
The person that freaks me out the most is Jordan. Remember Jordan was with him the whole night and then he said Jordan left with another girl. But then Jordan went to Freddie's house and Freddie had to drive back to his house, let Jordan in, and then drive back and get McDonald's. Then drop the girls off and stuff like that.
If I'm with a girl, I ain't going back. That makes no sense. Unless you're there to help them hide something.
everybody I see in some of the podcasts, they said that Jordan was trying to get with Jaleyah that night. So what if he was like really the person that happened to? Because somebody said, what was she a sexual assault? Like he was like ripping at her, like trying to take her clothes off, like trying to kiss her, fill up on her.
But if you're trying to do that, you would do the waist down, not the waist up.
Right. I'm just trying to think because Jordan just went ghost quick.
Because women are catty. Mm-hmm. They'll pull your wig, they'll pull your shirt before they pull your bottom. I don't know. We watch baddies. And what is the first thing that's out?
The wig.
And then what's the second?
The shirts.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. Like, women are catty. If it was a guy, he would go under the waist.
Right.
So, to me, there is no doubt in my mind that both of them did it. Christine even found a lawyer.
Quick.
Before she was even questioned because she already knew.
Because in my thought, if something happened to my friend, I'd be depressed. I'd be sad, and I was just with her a couple hours ago. Now she's dead. I wouldn't even think about getting a lawyer. I'd be like, dang, like, let me go check on her mom. Let me go check on her sister. Because they said that Tabby and Kristen was friends too. Yep. So if that's my friend, I'm checking on my friend like, girl, I'm so sorry. I should have watched her. I should have did this. Like, I'll be like more mad at myself.
Maybe Christine set her up. Maybe she had something against Jaylene.
Probably so.
And she used Kathy to help her with her vengeance.
Because why did Jaleyah want to go home so much? Because she's supposed to spend the night with Kristen. But she didn't want to go home. And why was she driving on the highway? Because if she's calling her sister to come pick her up, why is she leaving?
Or was she driving?
No, her sister, she wasn't driving. Like, she heard her. She was like...
No, but who was driving her car?
We don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Or was she driving?
No, if she told her sister, like, hey, come pick me up at this gas station. I'm at this gas station right quick. Come pick me up.
Yeah, it makes no sense that she was driving is what I'm saying.
Right. So it's like, that's the weirdest part about it. Because if I'm calling my sister to pick me up, I'm going to stay. Like,
and her blood was in the trunk. How was she driving? It makes no sense. Mm-hmm. Somebody was driving her car.
She got hammered. If they saying that she had all those shots, you will have to stay with your friend. Well, people are not friends, really. But you will have to watch out for them.
Yeah.
They wasn't her friend. So I have to say, I think it was a murder.
I know it was a murder.
Oh, okay. Yep. And this is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are on all major platforms of podcasting, on YouTube, and also on social media. So please check us out and have a nice weekend.
We're signing out.